Hello Facebook, I think I'm live. Just been faffing with my camera because it's been misbehaving. So, hope you've brought your packed lunch. I'm having a glass of council pop. A glass of water. Am I live? Is anybody there? Just one little viewer would be great, just to show me that I am actually live. Am I talking to myself? Sorry for not looking in camera. I know my camera's here, but I'm just looking here to see if anybody's actually watching. Oh goodness, it always makes me just feel nervous if nobody's actually... I don't mind that I don't have many people watching live, because I do know that lots of people watch me on catch up later on, but when I don't see anybody at all, it makes me nervous and wonder whether I am actually going live and whether it's going to be able to save the recording. And to be honest, this is the longest I've waited in a long time. My camera's working. I do usually have one or two people watching. Okay, oh well, I'll press on with no viewers. Or should I stop and start again? Oh, it's so tricky. I think what I might do is just stop and start again, because I'm not seeing any comments or anybody watching at all. I don't know what that button does. Ah, Mum has come to save the day. Thank you, Mum. I was just about to actually log off and start again because I didn't know whether I was live or not, because I didn't have anyone watching. Hello, thank you. You can go if you like. You don't have to stay for it all. Just as long as I know that I am live, I know that I'll be able to save the recording afterwards. So I will start again. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Izzy's Crafty Bees. I am Izzy Shashinsky and I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK. And thank you for joining me this lunchtime, Mum, so far. And if you're watching on catch up or watching indeed on YouTube later on, then thank you again for watching. However, you might be watching live or recorded. Yes, and if you do enjoy the video, give me some feedback. Sorry, I'm a bit flummoxed. I don't know whether that's a Yorkshire word or an English word, but I'm a bit flummoxed because I did have a couple of people tell me they were going to watch me at lunchtime and none of them have turned up, but that's fine. I didn't know I was actually live and now I do, so that's all good. So let's press on. Yes, so if you do enjoy the video, please leave me a comment afterwards. If you are watching on YouTube, please give me a like and a follow if you're not already a regular subscriber. And today I'm going to share with you 3 cards using one key product, and that's the Bouquet of Love hybrid embossing folder, and it's fantastic. This is the second hybrid embossing folder that Stampin' Up have brought out, and I really love them. It means that there is a die that actually sits inside the embossing folder, and so it has a couple of different uses, and I'm going to be demonstrating that. And I'm also going to be demonstrating that hearts and flowers are not just for romance. So before I begin that, I want to, as always, just share 3 golden moments with you. I've decided this year to call my happy things golden moments, and I've made a little post-it sticker but realised I've stuck it in the wrong place. So my 3 golden moments this week was... I'm so glad you're watching, Mum, because this morning in the post a fabulous card arrived from my mum. And not only do I love the card itself, but I love what Mum's written inside. Mum said, "Congratulations, you've totally earned it. 10 years. That certainly proves that you have stickability." Or was that just the Tombow? Love from Mum. And I'm going to leave that just there on my desk so you can, when I turn the camera around, you can see it in the right order. So number 2 was the sunrise yesterday. Yesterday morning, the sunrise was absolutely magnificent, but I didn't have my phone switched on, so I didn't get a picture of it. It was quite early. Well, it was about 7:15, 7:30, and I was just having my breakfast in the kitchen. The kitchen faces east, and the sky was ablaze. It was just beautiful, and I just stopped for the moments that it took for the sun to rise and watched it and thought, you know what? There is something really fabulous about winter, and that is that the sunrise is that bit later for people like me who are not naturally early birds to enjoy that moment. That really was a golden moment. And item number 3, or golden moment number 3, was a bit more than golden moment. It was golden moments. For the last 2 days, 2 whole days, Mr. Shashinsky and myself have been taking out 12, count them, we did, large conifers at the bottom of our garden, which have blocked the view across the fields. We're back onto open fields and woodland, and we've had a giant, I think it was about 8 foot tall, conifer hedge, and it has gone woohoo! We have taken it out ourselves, and yesterday I spent the whole day hauling the conifers through the garden to a bonfire. So yes, it was a golden moment when we finished. At one point we both said, "I'll be glad when we've had enough of this." And it was, but we had fun. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed each other's company, and we enjoyed having a bonfire, destructive little things that we are. So they're my golden moments. Please share with me yours. Even if you're watching on catch up, I always like to know what's made people happy. Now, without further ado, I'm going to switch my camera around and we're going to do some crafting, because that's what you're here for. So let's get this camera. Look at that lovely card from my mum. Sorry about that shadow. I'm just going to try and leave my phone actually plugged in so I don't run out of battery, and we'll just see how we get on. I'm going to try not to jiggle too much. Look at this gorgeous card from my mum. That beautiful paper. So that's in the annual catalogue, Ever the Salesperson. But I was really thrilled. I love this tall card, and I love the paper. I like the contrast of this metallic paper with that lovely colour, and I think that is, I want to say Coastal Cabana, I think it might be Bermuda Bay. It's Bermuda Bay. I always get those two mixed up, and I love that contrast. Mum knows that Bermuda Bay and turquoise colours are my favourites. Thank you, Mum. I'm going to pop that there. And so today's cards, I'll just point out these. This is my shop. You know where to shop. You know where to join my team. And the host code for the moment is this. So if you're ordering online and you want to enter the host code, then I will send you a free gift in the post next month. So these are the cards I want to share. Now I want to point out that these two are actually using the hybrid embossing folder as they were designed to be used. And these are hearts and flowers and all about love. Now I don't do Valentine's Day with my husband. My husband's birthday is the 12th of February. So I feel he gets enough love on his birthday, bless him. I don't want to, overdo it. And we just don't do Valentine's. It's just something that we don't do. But everybody has anniversaries. Actually, it's our 10th anniversary. So it's my 10th Stampin' Up anniversary this month. And it's our 10th wedding anniversary in April this year. So I do make anniversary cards for other people as well as myself and my husband. So I thought that was a romantic or intended. And then a little cute congrats card. That could be for anything. It could be congratulations on, in a different colourway, for example. Could be congratulations on a new baby. You could stamp a sentiment with that. Congratulations on an engagement. It could be anything. And then this one, so these two are actually a 2 for 1. I'm going to show you how, by embossing and cutting you get 2 pieces that you can use and make 2 cards. It's pretty simple to work out how. But then this one is the one that I wanted to really highlight about how to get the most out of the embossing folder in particular, that you don't have to use it with the dies that go with it. So I'm going to share with you how I made this and some other fabulous new dies as well. So let's crack on. So the first, I'm going to make these 2 cards first, and I'm just going to share with you where the product is. Let me have a look, and I'm just going to share what I've used. So in the new January to June mini catalogue, over on page 11, we have this bundle. Now this is a sentiment bundle, sentiment stamp set, and the new embossing folder. So let me just share with you the embossing folder, and that actually comes with Bouquet of Love. It comes with dies, so I'm just going to get them out and show you the actual product that I'm talking about. So it is a 3D embossing folder, so it's one of the nice thick ones, and as you can see in the middle we have this heart shape here, and that coordinates with the large heart die in the dies set. So in the die set we have a large heart, a small heart, 4 flowers, they're quite whimsy these flowers, 2 lovely labels for sentiments, and this little piece that makes the leaves. So the large heart actually sits inside the embossing folder if you want to use it in the hybrid fashion, and then you run it through your machine and it will cut out the centre. But you can also use the embossing folder without popping the die in. So that's the hybrid embossing folder, and that's £27. So that's the folder and the dies for £27. There is a bundle in the catalogue, and that includes this sentiment stamp set. However, I haven't paired mine with this sentiment stamp set. I've actually paired mine with the Celebrating You stamp set. Now, I want to point that out in the catalogue as well. So on page 65, this is a cling stamp set for £23, and that includes 16 sentiments, and they cover a much broader range of events than just the Love and Happiness stamp set, which is suggested to go with the dies and the Bouquet of Love embossing folder. This is fabulous if you want all of these wishes for weddings, anniversaries, lots of weddings, so 2 probably engaged, another wedding greeting, Valentine's Day for my wife. Not that my husband's going to ever come in my craft room and make me a card. Congratulations. So all about romance. Now this stamp set has anniversary, it has birthday, Father's Day, it has Mother's Day, it has Easter, it has just a nice sentiment, you're on my mind and in my heart, lots of love, wishing you a happily ever after, so wedding or anniversary, the best is yet to come. And the other thing I want to point out is that these sentiments can also be paired up because of the very clever font arrangement. So for example, you are every bit of wonderful, so proud of you. That would be fantastic together, and you could also pop in the tiny congrats. I also really love welcome little one, grateful to celebrate you every day. That same kind of visual font, but also I might send Happy Mother's Day, so grateful to celebrate you every day, because that font matches this font. Happy Birthday equally could be used the same because we have the same font in Fancy as we do in the middle. Very clever stamp set. And although this is offered as a bundle, saving 10%, so you get the stamp set, the embossing folder and dies for £43. If you bought the embossing folder with the dies for £27 and added this on for £23, it would be more expensive. But in my mind, that would be better value because you'd have much broader range of sentiments to go. And these sentiments work really well with the heart-shaped dies. and equally well with the sentiment die labels that are in the set. So that's what I've chosen to use on these cards. Let's just get on with it, Izzy. I'll just put my catalogue to one side. So I'm going to make these two cards together. I'm just going to get my bits. I've pre-prepared today, so I'm not cutting cardstock. I'm actually getting out my pack to use that I've pre-prepared. So for this one, I've actually, and the colours I've used are Real Red and Pool Party with white. So this one, and some vellum. I've prepared a card base folded sideways. So a landscape card base, your ordinary size, so half a piece of A4. So I've trimmed my A4 in half at 10.5, and then I've scored it at 14.8 or thereabouts. So I've got my card base, I've got myself a layer, and that layer is 9.5 centimetres by 14 centimetres. I've then got a piece of vellum, and that's 13.5 centimetres by 9 centimetres. And in my pack of bits and pieces, I've got a piece of basic white for the sentiment, and also in my little box I've just got some other scraps. So I've got some scraps of crumb cake that I will have just to one side for cutting the leaf, and then I've got a little piece of this new supple shimmer paper, and I'm just going to flip to that in the catalogue if I may, because let me just find it. It's on page 67 of the new catalogue, and I just want to point out that there has been a printing error and the colour is not represented in its true shade. So this supple shimmer speciality paper, £4.75 for two 12-inch by 12-inch pieces, and I'm just going to bring in the pack and show you the actual colour. It's just listed as pink and blue. The pink is correct, but the blue is actually incorrect. And I'm just going to bring in my pack out of the cellophane so I can show you the pink, which is like a rosy pink. It's beautiful, and it's absolutely non-shed. It's glittery, but it's totally non-shed. It's almost, I don't know, and even when you scratch it, there's no shedding of glitter. But the other colour is like an iridescent Pool Party shimmer, and that's what I'm using on these cards and these projects today. So I've got just a little snippet, and that'll give me enough for the heart and the flowers that I need for this one and this one. And I've got an envelope. Now then, for this one, I've cut myself a card base that finishes off 10 centimetres square. So I've actually taken my A4 piece and I've cut myself a piece 10 centimetres wide by the full width of A4, and I've trimmed off 1 centimetre because A4 is 21 centimetres wide. I've just trimmed off 1 centimetre and I've scored at 10, and that leaves me with a card base 10 centimetres square. And I've cut myself a piece of Real Red, and that should be 9.5. I think I've listed that incorrectly on my notes. That's 9.5 centimetres square, and I'll be using the same shimmer paper for that. So let's go ahead and start crafting. I'm going to take a seat, and I'm just going to pop a couple of things to one side. I'm going to actually get rid of my grid sheet because I want to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to bring in the big machine for this demonstration, and I'm just going to move my glass of water, bear with me, because the other day I actually knocked a full glass of water all over my crafting desk, and it wasn't a pretty sight, and the air was not a pretty colour either. It turned a shade of blue with my swearing. So I'm going to just get out my, you can see that this stamp set, Celebrating You, is a red rubber or cling mount stamp set, and I'm just going to get out my sentiments that I want, which is Happy Anniversary and Congrats, and just pop them onto blocks. So let's just have a look. Happy anniversary. I seem to have lost the ability to read backwards today. Let's just pop that on a block. Then we're ready with that, and the little congrats we'll just pop on a block there. So we're all good to go with that, and I just need some black ink, and I'm going to use Memento Black for this project. So I'm going to start by doing some cutting and embossing straight off the bat. So I'm going to take my piece of vellum that I've cut for this card, and I'm going to take my hybrid embossing folder, and I'm going to grab plate number 4. I'm going to just stand and just see whether my machine, yes, my machine's sort of in shot, so I'll just bring that in a little bit more. And I'm going to pop that there. I'm just going to grab the large heart die. So first of all, I'm going to pop the large heart die into the embossing folder, and you'll feel it kind of just locates where it needs to be. Now with the vellum, it's quite easy to get that heart centralised, but I'm going to give you a bit of a tip, and I've just popped some marks on with a Sharpie marker pen at halfway, just to give me a visual sort of clue when I'm lining up this embossing folder with opaque cardstock. So now I'm going to make my sandwich for the machine, and use plate number 1 and plate number 4, always with your hinge forward, and I'm going to run that through, remembering that that die is actually in position inside the embossing folder. So not only is this folder embossing, it should be cutting out the heart shape as well. So let's have a look at that piece of magic. So we can remove our die now, pop that to one side, and we can remove our vellum, and we can see that that vellum, I just pull that out, so I've now got a lovely embossed heart, and I've got a lovely piece of embossed vellum with a heart die shape in the middle. So I can pop those to one side. Now I'm going to do exactly the same, but with the piece of real red. I'm just having a look at that, and I'm wondering whether that looks straight. I think it's my glasses, I really do. And I'm going to pop my die back in the folder, and you need to put the die with the cutting blade up. It's worth probably me pointing that out, because it would be easy to pop it in the other way and you wouldn't get any cutting then. So you need to pop the die into the embossing folder. It does locate in that groove, and with the cutting blade uppermost, and then you need to position your piece of cardstock over the top, and this is where now I can't see where the heart is, so I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not measuring it, but I've got a visual, and to me that kind of looks halfway. When I close the folder, I can do a little check, and I can just move that over a little bit, and I'm happy with that. Now I'm turning it round because I want hinge side to go through my machine first, so I'll place that on the platform, pop plate number 4 on top, and feed that through the machine. Oh, I think I might have just knocked the camera inadvertently. So now I'm left with a lovely red, real red embossed heart. I don't think cameras like the colour red, it's always a dodgy colour. And I'm left with a piece of embossed real red as well, and I don't know whether you can tell, if I just hold that really steady, can you tell that we have a stitched edge to the heart as well? I think that that's just been picked up. So I can pop my large heart now back in the packet. We've finished with that, and we've finished with the embossing folder just for now. So I'm going to pop my machine to one side till we come on to the last project. And oh, actually I do need to do some more cutting. What am I like? I need to now cut my little pieces, so I will bring my machine back in and we'll just do all of that all at once. So this time I need my machine, and I need my platform with my cutting plates this time. And I'm going to try and run through as many pieces as I can. So I need my bottom cutting plate, my piece of sparkly, my little flowers, and I want, let me just double check how many I had. I had 3 little flowers, and handily they give you 2 big ones and 2 little ones. So I'm going to run through 2 big ones and a little one, and I want a couple of leaves for this project, so I'll just run that through. And I also need that medium or smaller heart from the sparkly stuff. And I'm going to pop my top plate on. Then I will just stamp my sentiments and run those through with the other leaf. So that's just a couple of run throughs. Let's just tip those onto the table. I do always want to stick. And let's just knock those off onto the table. I'm just going to move my embossing machine because I'm going to quickly do that stamping. So I've got a couple of sentiments to go. I want to stamp congrats for this card and happy anniversary for this card. So I'll just take a seat. And I possibly might need another scrap of white card. And as I always save my scraps, there we are. So, Memento black ink, and we'll go happy anniversary. Now with this Memento, I always say really tap, 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 because it's not stored upside down like our other ink, and it's a felt pad. Straight down, no rocking and rolling, and straight up. Should give us a nice crisp image. Tap, tap, tap for the congrats. Straight down. Little bit of pressure and just a moment to breathe in and breathe out, and that lets the ink have good contact with the cardstock, so there's no need to do CPR with your stamping. So now we're gathering all our bits together. I'll just bring in my magnetic board rubber. See, I've got all these bits here, and I want to just pick up all my dies rather than scoop them off onto the desk, off the desk onto the floor. So I'll just gather all these little bits that I've die cut so far, and I'll just move them over to one side. Then we're all good to go. We're all organised. We're getting there. Where's my little leaf? Don't forget the little leaf. So I'm going to go back through my machine. I could bring in the little one at this point, but as I've got my big machine out, let's keep going. And now I want to use both the sentiment label dies, and I'm going to position them. I'm just going to see if I can move this up. That's better. I'm going to position them onto the platform on a slight angle. If you put your dies through straight across the roller, in here there is a roller, 2 rollers, 2 big metal rollers, and if you put them straight onto the roller, you'll get a real clunk clunk, and it's quite a horrible noise. Now I want one more leaf, so we'll just chuck that on there, pop the top plate on. Always hope that it doesn't move, but of course because I'm on camera it will do. Give it a good squeeze with my thumb. So now I'm winding that through, and that shouldn't jump and it shouldn't clunk. It gives a little click, but there's no clunk clunk. Again, I'm just going to throw my dies onto my magnetic board rubber, and that should just catch them. So I've got congrats, I've got happy anniversary, scraps to chuck in the bin, and we'll get on and assemble these cards. Okay, so now I've got all my bits and pieces. We'll put the originals in front of us. So you can see how I'm building up 2 cards for the price of 1, or 2 cards for the effort of 1 really, because I'm going to just switch out those hearts. So I've got 1 in vellum and 1 in red, and the hearts in the middle, and all my little bits and pieces, and it really is as simple as that. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble the little square one first. So I've cut my card blank. I'll give that just an extra burnish with a bone folder just to make sure it's going to sit nice and flat, and it's going to be as simple as just sticking this together now. I'm going to use Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue on this embossed piece, because if I use a tape runner glue, and I will just show you in a second, I run the risk, and I'm putting a bit more on than usual because I've got all these little embossed crevices to get into, but if I was to use a tape runner glue, I need to inevitably put some pressure on to get the tape to run, and that pressure would flatten down the embossing that we've just carefully done with the embossing folder. So I always use a liquid glue for embossed pieces. I'm also going to use multi-purpose liquid glue on the vellum, and a lot of people ask me what glue to use on vellum, and because sometimes you can see the glue through the actual vellum, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of this vellum, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a tap to spread it a bit more thinly, remembering that Tombow multi-purpose glue does actually dry clear. So although you might see it to start with, although you can't actually because of the embossing, it will actually dry clear, and it does dry on your fingers, so you can give it a rub. So that's stuck perfectly well. I'm going to just finish that off by sticking my little heart. It's going to be quite a quick demo, I think, today. My little heart just there. And again, I could use a dimensional to pop that up, and I'm just going to use some glue and we'll stick that down. You could go straight. I'm going to go on an angle. I think that's quite sweet. I'm just going to reach for some, I forgot about my twine, but it's just here, so I'm going to use a bit of baker's twine for that cute bow. And again, this is in the annual catalogue. I think I highlighted this last time. It's a pack of 5 different colours of baker's twine: white, vanilla, I've forgotten that one. I think that one is, well, that one's crumb cake, and that one's black, and that one is grey granite, I think. Yes, it is grey granite. I'll just get that tiny sentiment, and I'm going to add, just give that a press down. I'm going to add some glue to the back of that. In fact, I'm actually going to use, because I'm sticking onto a textured surface, I'm actually going to use glue dots on the back of this Congrats. And what I'm going to do is just take, let me have a look, maybe, no, I think a pointy pokey tool. So this is the old Stampin' Up pokey tool, and I'm just going to actually try and fold that glue dot over to make it smaller, just so that it'll go on the back of that. It's not very warm in my craft room today, and these glue dots tend to prefer to be a little bit warmer. So if your glue dots are a bit hard and a bit cold and you want them to stick better, what you can do is just give them a rub from the backside, or put something warm over, like a warm thumb, or even heat them up with a heat tool a little bit, but without scorching them. So I'm going to just take my baker's twine now and just tie a little tiny bow, she said, fumble fingers. I'm just going to faff with that. Sometimes with baker's twine it wants to twist, and I can see that one's twisting round, but I'm just going to give it a pull. Let's not faff too long, let's just get it cut, stuck on. And I'll take another glue dot and just roll that round into a little ball so that I can use that to stick the baker's twine on with. Oh, it's so cold. I should put some heating on really. And we'll just pop that on there just to finish that off. You could also add some sequins if you wanted, just bling it up a bit more. Maybe some pearls would look nice because that's white. You could colour some pearls, but I think that's quite a cute little card. So that's card number 1. Very quick, very easy. The dies themselves make it really easy to make. So let's make up card number 2. Let me just pop that end on there and then I don't stab myself later. So as I just said, I've got a regular size card base, nothing fancy, no fancy folds going on. And I've got another layer of Pool Party, so we're tone on tone, and to that I'm going to adhere the vellum, and I'm going to make this layer in one go, and then I'm going to stick the whole lot on to the card base at the end. So I'm going to first of all adhere the vellum to the layer, to the card. So same technique again, just some blobs of multi-purpose liquid glue. You don't need too much, little blobs, but I'm going to again tap tap all the way around. It kind of just spreads it a bit thinner, and I've just found this a really good technique for using on vellum. I'm going to get rid of any excess. I can just rub that from my fingers. If you find your fingers are really sticky, then you can use a flannel with some soap on, kept on your craft desk. I do not like baby wipes or wet wipes in any shape or form. I'd prefer to have a damp cloth, but I've just rubbed those and all of that glue's gone. Before COVID days and I was running classes in person, I would always wear my apron, my Stampin' Up apron, and so my Stampin' Up apron has 10 years worth of glue. I don't think it's ever been washed because its purpose is to actually wipe glue and ink on. But I stopped wearing it when I was doing lives on Facebook. I'm just going to fill in with that beautiful, it's such a lovely embossing folder. Those lovely flowers and leaves, it's really pretty. Yes, and I'm going to stick the sentiment on using some dimensionals. Now I'm going to just pay attention because I want to pop the little flowers underneath. So I'm going to pay attention as to where my dimensionals are going to sit. So I'm actually just going to move them in a little bit. I think ordinarily the temptation would be to pop the dimensionals right to the ends, but I'm going to leave the ends free so I can make sure I can pop those flowers underneath. So let's put that there. And of course, if you wanted to put your sentiment there or right across the middle, there'd be nothing wrong with that whatsoever. In fact, let's do that on this one. Let's pop this sentiment central, middle for diddle. One of the reasons I don't always go symmetrical is I sometimes just can't stick things straight. And let's pop these flowers underneath. So I'm just using a bit of multi-purpose glue on the back of that one. And we'll just pop that, slide it under and give it a squish. And where are my leaves? There we go. Now these leaves are ever so sweet. They've got that stitch bit down the middle, and I just give them a bit of a fold. Gives them a bit more dimension. I'll probably go flat when you send it through the post anyway, but I know I've done it. I'm just going to slide that underneath as well and stick that down. And then I'll pop these other flowers at the other side. Now I have to say that this supple shimmer paper, it's not glimmer paper, behaves the same as the glimmer paper in that the backing is not very absorbent. So I have found that when I've stuck it down have to give it quite a good press and leave it to dry. Try not to knock it because it won't stick straight away, which is handy if you want to reposition, but not so handy if you want a quick card to stick in an envelope. Let's just try and carefully pop. Now this one I'm going to stick on the front of the label, and my last leaf underneath the edge. Ooh. Now the reason that's struggling to stick is because I'm actually sticking onto embossed, so it's raised, we've got some texture, and I'm slightly sticking onto that shimmer paper. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a help there by pressing it down. So there we are. That's that one. I can stick that now to my card base. I'm going to raise it up using dimensionals, so you can remember to use the edges of your dimensionals. If you've got some left, I'm going to make use of these edges here. If you're using a large area of cardstock. There we go. We don't have to go mad sticking them all the way round. That's quite enough just to raise that up from the base card. Did I take all four off? Because I'm really clever at doing that, just forgetting. Oh, am I straight? Am I straight? Yes. So there we are. Two cards, same but different, as is my catchphrase. So that's card numbers 1 and 2. There we go. I'm just going to stand up and make sure I'm still on camera and I'm still live. Yes, I am. Hello. Oh, hi, Helen. Thank you for joining. Now, I always say no naked envelopes. We haven't actually got a stamp set out other than sentiments at the moment, so I'm going to just leave my envelopes here for the minute, and I'm going to do a bit of thinking on my feet about how we can decorate those envelopes before we finish this session. So I'm going to come in and make card number 3. The reason I'm making this card is to demonstrate that the embossing folder doesn't have to be used with the dies, it can be used on its own, and you can cover the central area that has the heart and use it on non-hearts type cards. So let me show you what I've prepared in the pack. I've prepared a card base, regular size, and for this one I'm going to use it well, on this one I've used it landscape. I'm now wondering whether I can use it portrait. Will I be able to fit that? I think I should be able to fit You're Amazing across. Let's have a think about that. So I've made a card base in basic white thick cardstock. I've made a layer of Pool Party cardstock which I'm going to emboss, and that measures, let me just refer to my notes, 14 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres. I've got a piece of vellum, and that measures 12 centimetres by 9 centimetres. I've got a piece of scrap real red. I've got a piece of scrap basic white, and I've actually chosen thick basic white from the scrap drawer for this one. And again, I want my extra pieces of, let's have a look, crumb cake, and I want my extra pieces of shimmer, and I'm going to just chop myself another piece of that while we work. So the first thing, oh, I've also, just before I bring in my big machine, I've also got some sticky sheet, because I'm going to use sticky sheet instead of glue on the back of the large sentiment words die cut. So I'm just going to pop everything to one side. I'm going to bring the machine back in and we're going to do some work on embossing and die cutting. Let me just see, do I need to stamp anything? I do, but right at the end. So let's bring in the big machine. And the first thing I'm going to do is bring back the embossing folder with plate number 1 and plate number 4 for embossing. Oh, Alison, you're saying emboss them. Emboss them what? Emboss them, I'm not sure what. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'll just hang on because you're going to answer me. You said emboss something. Anyway, I'm going to pop my pool party layer straight into the embossing folder, and I don't care which way round it goes. It can go in this way, it can go in that way. It doesn't matter because I'm not interested in the heart in the middle. I actually think though, even though I'm not going to see very much of the embossing because I've got the vellum to go over the top. If you were to just have a small square in the middle, then you might want to think, the envelopes, thank you Alison, yes, great idea, I will indeed emboss them. So yeah, I'm just going to pop that straight in the embossing folder this way round. Hinge first, plate 4 over the top, whiz it through. There we go. So you can see how that comes out without the die. It comes out with this lovely flattened area. So that's pretty, and you can use that perfectly well on its own. But I wanted to show you that it's a really pretty embossing folder without the hearts. So therefore I'm going to pop another layer over the top. And that layer is this vellum layer. And for this one I'm actually going to get rid of plate 4, bring back my cutting plates, and I'm going to introduce another die which is stitched with whimsy. And Helen Smith, I think you'll love this one, being a needle worker. This is a lovely set of dies. It doesn't do any cutting, it just does some stitched imagery, and it's really lovely. So we've got a really big rectangle, a smaller rectangle, then we've got a set of squares and a small rectangle, which is super for sentiments. And this set of squares is really super for elements on cards, but equally great. This is fantastic if you're a scrapbooker, this large one. So I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. So I'm going to just slide my machine forward so you can see. I'm going to take my rectangle of vellum and place the die over the top, again just on a very slight diagonal angle. Place the top plate on and run that through. I thought you would love these, Helen. These are in the annual catalogue at the back with all the dies. So all that does is a pierced, stitched whimsy. So it's like a double wiggly stitched impression, but it's actually pierced all the way through. And it's really super for just adding a little bit more interest to what really is a plain shape. I'm just looking for the packet. Let me just pop those right over the... Oh, I didn't quite mean to crash, bang and wallop that much. So it just gives you a little bit more. It's probably quite difficult to pick up on camera, but in real life, those two together, we've got the texture of the embossed layer and we've got that little bit of whimsy stitching round what would have been a plain rectangle of vellum. Because I'm going quite plain with the rest of the card, just with that die cut sentiment. So what I'm going to do now is just slide that to one side. I'm going to take my piece of real red and my piece of basic white, thick. I'm just going to trim that down a little bit. And I'm going to actually use some sticky sheet. Now, we sell this, it's in the annual catalogue. This is not Stampin' Up's version because I have a stash of non-Stampin' Up sticky sheet, because I'm not being unfaithful. We used to sell it, then we stopped selling it. I bought a stash, now we sell it again. So that's my excuse. And I'm not going to get rid of a stash. So I've got peeled off the backing. I've now got a very sticky sheet, and I'm going to place my piece of basic white on the top and my piece of real red, and I've now got all this sticky around the edge, but never mind, I can trim that off. I've got very sticky scissors, but just so it doesn't stick everywhere, let me just trim that off. Oh. And yeah, I'm going to leave them stuck together. I'm just going to pop that in the bin so it doesn't stick to everything. Get rid of that. And then I'm actually going to introduce you to another set of dies, which I just seem to have lost. I've had them, have I had them out? Here they are. Amazing Thanks dies. Now these are in the new January to June mini, and they are part of a bundle, which I'm just going to grab and show you. Part of a bundle which I am falling in love with, I have to say. I'm going to be completely honest. Here we are. Here's the bundle on page 40. Now, I have to say, I'm falling in love with it. The stamp set is really different, and I saw it and really liked it first off the bat. When I first opened the catalogue, I thought, that's really different. I really like it. Then I got it and I thought, oh, how do I use this? It's really different, and it's something that I've never used before in this form. And it kind of threw me a little bit. It's a distinctive stamp set, which means you get all these different tones and shades when you stamp, and it looks quite blobby and a bit watercolory. So it's been designed specifically to look like emboss resist without emboss resisting. If you're familiar with that technique, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's been designed to look like a watercolour background. And it comes as a bundle with these fantastic dies called Amazing Thanks, and Amazing Silhouettes, and I'm going to show you the dies right now. And I'm also going to show you a couple of samples of cards that I have made using the stamp set that have enabled me to fall in love with it. First of all, I'm just going to pop those plates through to the right side. So the Amazing Thanks dies are fabulous. I absolutely love them. I think this is the first time Stampin' Up have done the layering sentiment type stamp sets that are very fashionable at the moment. So I'm going to use, so we have the word amazing, thanks, are and you. So we can actually use thanks without the S and say thank you. We can say you are amazing, and I think that's it, but fabulous. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I'm going to die cut them. So I want my amazing sentiment, and I want the thinner lettering to be on the basic white, and I want my thicker lettering to be on the real red. And again, I'm just popping them on a jaunty angle and running them through my machine. So I do realise that I am going a bit heavy on introducing different sets, but today I want to show you the versatility and how versatility is really important when you're building up a stash of product. You have to get maximum use and maximum value. You absolutely have to. It's no good buying a stamp set or a set of dies and just using them for one or two different projects. You have to get good use. I'm going to sit down again. So I'm just going to pop these out. I'm going to pop them there for the moment because I've just remembered that I need to die cut my flowers again. So before I put my machine properly to one side, let's bring it back in. Let's get those flowers and leaves cut. Then we can do some making. So I'm going to grab my piece of Pretty Shimmer. Yes, chop it up. I've got to chop it and use it. Can't just stroke it forever. It has to be used. So we want 2 more leaves. And it's amazing how far a scrap of card will go. And I want 3 more flowers. And I don't know about you, Alison, but I am absolutely thrilled because you've been a demo the same, well, just a couple of months longer than me. But I'm absolutely thrilled that Stampin' Up are finally now doing die sets with more than one of the little bits in. Then we can, you know, 2 flowers there with 1 turn of the handle. I know I'm going to have to go back in for another leaf, but hey. Although, have we got 2 leaves? Did I just miss a leaf? Oh no, we only have 1 leaf in this set. I wish they'd got 2. 3 flowers, 1 turn of the handle. Let's just pop those down. And we'll just whiz 1 more leaf. Ooh, I've just knocked my camera again. Sorry, it's because I've got it plugged in. I was a bit worried about running out of battery. Okay, let's not lose that tiny leaf. Although I think I've just lost the first one. What have I just done with the first one? Did it just drop on the floor? Oh, people. Oh no, it's there. That's it. It's fine. It's all good. Panic not. Okay, so let's have a look at putting this card together. So I've got my blank, my embossed piece with the heart that's going to be hidden, and I wanted to use vellum because I want you to see that if you look closely you can see there's a heart there, but even with something opaque or translucent, that heart is now being hidden. It's no longer about hearts and romance, it's about positive affirmation of you are amazing. So I'm going to bring my sentiment letters. Now I want you to be gentle with me because it's a long time since I actually used sticky sheet, purely because generally I'm far too lazy. I'm a bit of a stamp it and stick it type of crafter. So I'm going to just pop that out, and what I should be left with is a peel off backing, so I don't have to faff with glue. So I'm going to peel that backing off, and now I've got a sticker, and I'm going to stick that straight down, hopefully in the middle of my vellum. Can you tell me whether that's straight or not, because I can't see. I'm on an angle and I'm far away from the camera. And I'm going to layer that up oh, and that's just coming out on its own with the peel off, with the peel off backing left behind. So I'm just going to weed out these little bits in the middle, and this one might be a bit more tricky to stick down. So we'll just take it carefully. Everybody hold your breath. Amazing. Where's Craig Revel Horwood when you want him? I'm making this look so difficult, and I'm sure it's absolutely not. It's much, much easier than I'm making it look. And this is because practice makes perfect, and I never use sticky sheet. I just go in with our fine tip glue, pen, or multi-purpose liquid glue on a sponge. To be honest, look how easy that was. That was amazing. Love it. Note to self, use sticky sheet much more often. And now I'm going to stick this to my base layer, and then I'm going to finish it off with the extra sentiment and the other bits of flowers. So same glue technique for this card as for the others. I'm going to hold that up, and I think the only place you might be able to see glue potentially is maybe that corner, but I think Tombow for me on vellum is the glue to use. And you don't need a lot, even though we're sticking it to a texture, but just tap it out just to give it a bit of spread. I know a couple of ladies that will be cringing because they just don't like getting fingers gluey. And so if that's the case, use a sponge and just dab it gently with a sponge. And I can see there I've not tapped it enough. Just tap it and spread it a bit more. And give that a press and that will stick nicely to your cardstock. This whole layer is going to be stuck straight and flat, so I'm going to add my liquid glue again. Not tape runner glue because I don't want to squish the embossing. So we'll pop that straight down onto that card base. And I love how when you stick vellum down, it just, the edges, if you don't stick it right to the edges just lift a bit, and that gives it, again, it gives it a bit more texture and a bit more dimension. Now I need my piece of basic white, my Memento glue, and I'm going to just bring in this stamp set, Create with Friends, which I use such a lot. We could have got the same kind of effect on this card by using the big stamped image of Amazing, and we would stamp and heat emboss potentially that across. But I've chosen, I love the dies, I've chosen to use the dies because you get such a lot more dimension. And I'm going to just pull out the word your, and of course with the dies, oh, I've got to sniff, excuse me sniffing. I could have die cut You Are and Amazing, so no need for the stamp if you didn't want the stamp. And if you feel I'm bringing just too many products into the whole project. But as I've got it, I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to stamp Your, and I'm going to trim it down. I like to use my big scissors when I'm trimming my sentiments down, just so I can do one snip straight across. And pop that on there. And I'm going to use a couple of mini dimensionals to pop that on. Really handy. So what's everybody up to today? Who's in their lunch break and who brought their packed lunch, and what did you have for your lunch? I'm being slightly hypnotised at the moment because next door are having some work done, and the builders have got the cement mixer churning in the background, and it's just quite a hypnotic sound. It can send me to sleep. A bit like one of those washing machine sort of sounds. Does anybody else get hypnotised by noise? I'm going to again use some glue dots, if I can get them to warm up. These little flowers, and even though it's tone on tone, I just love the way that they catch the light. I think these little flowers, they're quite whimsy, a bit like splats almost. They're certainly not what you would call botanical images. They're just a bit fun. I'm using glue dots for no other reason than they are handy. You could use wet glue, you could use a tape runner if you were dexterous enough. Come on, there you go. I'll just pop that under there. I'll just finish that off. There we are. The thing to remember about Stampin' Up! Glue dots is that they are on the roll. What am I talking about? Of course they're on the roll. what am I trying to say? That yes, when you've finished, to take this piece away and pop it in the bin, because you end up with it all over the place. Oh, right, here we go. So same and same. I don't even think it's any different. So just to show you how underneath there is a heart, but we can't see it, so you can still use your embossing folder for those lovely embossed layers to give texture, really pretty underneath. And those whimsy flowers just coordinate so beautifully because that's what they were designed to do. So hopefully you've enjoyed this card as well. If you didn't have large sentiment dies like I've used here, then you could equally just pop another layer on with an image. So it could quite easily just have an image stamped there and a sentiment of your choice. You would only need a layer of card. I'm just going to bring this out and measure it for you. You would only need an extra layer of card, 8 centimetres square, or even a rectangle 8 by 7, to cover the heart in the middle of that emboss. So you can see you only need a little piece, and you could use it this way round equally well. So again, versatility from your kit. I just wanted to share that. And let's bring all the cards back in and line them up. Let's just move that away. So they're the originals. And now I will have a go at embossing the envelopes, but before I do that, I want to bring in some other sample cards that I've made using. So I actually highlighted this one at the beginning of the year to say Happy New Year to all my followers, and I used just the bundle of the Amazing Thanks dies and stamp set. So I stamped this image, and then I simply chopped a slice out of the middle and raised that up on an extra piece of cardstock, layered up the thanks in coordinating colours and popped some sequins on. That was a really simple card to make. I added some splatters just for interest, take away some of that really stark white background. But here are a few more cards that I played with. So I stamped this image here with copper embossing powder. Then I blended some ink into the background, and then I used another of my favourite stamp sets. This one I go to quite a lot for these small images in the splatter and the little word love and the type stamp, because I love to do collage stamping. Collage stamping is just layered stamping, pulled out a sentiment, and I did that twice. I got 2 very different looks. Just changed the colour scheme a little bit and didn't do any heat embossing on the main image. And I also used the butterfly image for this one. So very much same but different. Because I was just struggling with these smaller images on their own. The large image I think stands on its own really nicely and really well, the large tree image. But the other 2 little images just looked a bit lost on their own, so I felt that adding in some collage stamping and that sentiment on the front really worked for me, and that was just some sort of playing around at making some samples the other day, and that's how I used the stamps. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Now, okay, Alison has laid down the gauntlet. She's set me a challenge. Let's have a look at embossing the envelopes. So, what I think I'm going to do is emboss the flap. Oh, I don't need those. I just need this one. So I need plate number 4 and plate number 1, and I'm going to try and remind myself how to emboss the flap and see whether I think it will fit in. It should do. Should fit in. I'm just hoping, can I manage not to get any of the heart in? I think what I'm going to have to do is just slide it up a little bit and get an embossed portion. Let's see. There we go. I think, will that fit in? You see, the problem with this now is what I should do to emboss a flap of an envelope is actually tuck that right in and then run it through like this, because it has to go hinge first. But what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with a bottom. The top of the heart will look like a bottom. So how can I get around that? Because if I slide it out to get rid of the bottom, it won't actually fit through the machine. So let's have a look. Yeah, if I get rid of the bottom, you can see what's happening. Let me just faff. Bear with. Don't bare your bottom. So that would be lovely, just to emboss the bottom of the flap, and not get the heart shape on, but it won't fit through the gap of the embossing machine, and I don't think it will fit through widthways, and it could damage my embossing folder. So I don't think I'm going to. It was a nice thought. Now let me see if I've got any other embossing folders. I don't think I have, to be fair, that I could get away with doing. I don't think I can do it that way. Oh, could I do it this way? Could we do it this way? Let's have a look. Because we need to go hinge first. We need to miss the side of the heart. If we're very careful, the envelope should go through the gap, and we can still go hinge first. Let's see. We need to be really square on. Let's see if the envelope will just go through the gap. Hold your breath, everyone. Let's have a look. Whoa, that's a big clunk. Haha, thank you, Alison. That was a challenge. So the envelope just went through. Now I've got a beautiful half embossed envelope flap. That's lovely. I like that. We'll do another one. So just to remind ourselves, we use platform number 1, plate number 4, and I want hinge first to go through. Alison, you missed me talking about bottoms. So struggled because I want to do it this way, but then I'll get a bottom. Can't pull it out because it won't fit through the gap, and I want to go hinge first. So I've gone this way round, very, very carefully, faffed and lined up so I don't get this side of the heart on the flap, and I'm really equal either side, because the envelope just fits through the gap. It will only just fit through the gap of the machine. So let's place the top plate on, and we're going to make sure that we're really lined up. There's no margin for error on this one. There's no sort of shove it through. It doesn't matter if it's slightly wonky on this one. So carefully wind that through. It's going to come out with a bit of a bang, because I've not got... The reason for that bang was because I didn't have my plates perfectly lined up. So you get half an embossed flap, but it still looks really pretty, so thank you for that one. No one does need a bottom on their envelope. Nobody needs a bottom on any envelope. Now we've got this little envelope. Now that little 10 by 10 card, I got some envelopes online. I've got 2 different kinds. Let's have a look. I think they both have triangular. They are different, yeah, triangular flaps. Sorry to use the flap word. But I think with this one, might we get away with it? We might still have half a bottom though. What do we think? I'm going to do it. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to put it in hinge first. Envelope flap. I've lost my plate. I've hidden it underneath. Pop that through. Let's see what this one looks like. Sometimes you just got to do it. It's only an envelope at the end of the day. Ah, who knew? Nobody knows that that's the bottom. That's really pretty. So, there we are. Decorated envelopes. We don't like naked envelopes. Or envelopes with bottoms. Now that's just all getting a bit too rude. I'm going to swing the camera round so I can say goodbye. Oh my word. Am I flustered? No. Where are you? Where am I? Where am I? I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Oh, don't even look at, don't, like, if I just stand like this, can you see? You can't see the mess. You can just see pretty things over here. You can't see the mess behind. So, thank you for watching. It's been fun today. I had a scary moment at the beginning when I really thought I wasn't live. I mean, I knew I was live, but you know, I didn't think I was live. So thank you for tuning in. Oh, I've had an extra free viewer. Your daughter from Germany's been watching as well. Brilliant. Thank you, Lauren. I did see that there was someone else that I didn't know. So Lauren obviously hasn't friended me or liked my page. So she needs to do that. Lauren, if you're still watching, you need to friend me and like my page, please. And then I'll see you pop up at the top of the screen. So thanks everyone for watching. I don't really know whether I've got anything to say in closing out today. Just that I do plan to actually do a quick flick through the new January to June mini catalogue, and I will endeavour to do that. I may not do it live, I may do a pre-record, just because I'd kind of planned to do that over the weekend, and then conifer hedges got in the way and I never got on with it. By the time I'd finished slashing and burning conifer trees, I was in no fit state to come and smile at the camera. So, but I will do that because I do want to just have a flick through and show you some of my favourite things, and I have been doing some other makes as well. So I want to show you some samples. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and give me a like, give me a comment, and I'll come back to you and answer your comments later. Bye for now.